been a while. I got kind of busy with my studying and work. I went full time in 2023, so I was trying to also finish my PhD off in that time. Not the best choice, but I'm nearly finished my studies now, so I decided I'm gonna hop back on BookTube a little bit and try and do some more videos. So the first one I want to do is just a rapid fire review of all the books I read in 2023. So I read a total of 56 books in 2023. My average book length was 329 pages. Shortest was 71, longest was 720. Yeah, this is my best reading year so far, which I'm really happy with. I have never read this many books in 1 year, ever, I don't think. Unless you count when I was like a child. It's getting kind of dark. That's better, okay. Also, apologies for the lighting. I live in Scotland and it's winter, so nothing looks good on camera, but we're trying our best. Okay, so anyway, this is meant to be a rapid fire review, so I better get going. First one, I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki by Baek Se-hee. I gave this like, I think 3.5, 4. It was okay. Some of it was really insightful, but some of it was kind of boring. Okay, next. I've lost my page. Next is Find Her by Sarah A. Denzel. It was like a thriller, pretty standard. I think the ending was kind of obvious. Yeah, if you like thrillers, you probably like it. But I wouldn't recommend it, personally. The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. I loved this book. It was so pretty. The really short book. It's like 100 pages and it's gorgeous. So highly recommend. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I really wanted to like this. I really wanted to. So many people have told me it was great, but I think magical realism just maybe isn't my genre. I'm gonna wait because Ember is using the toilet. I really wanted to like this, and some of it was fun, but some of it I found really boring and really hard to get through. So yeah, it was like 3 stars for me. Sorry. Next, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. This was pretty good. Felt like really old sci-fi, which was fun. If you like adventure type stuff, you'd probably enjoy that. A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I listened to this on audio. Highly recommend, because it's quite complicated. Yeah, I think I previously recommended the Craftlit podcast. Oh my god. Amber. Why is he just hanging out in the toilet? Yeah, so I think I recommended Craftlit before. She talks through the book and like tells you what to look out for, which is really good. So I recommend doing that. But yeah, it was decent. It was a cool story. Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. 5 stars. Loved it. It's like perfect weird girl fiction. Yeah, just read it, please. Also read Sayaka Murata Earthlings. Again, even weirder. Like, I'd say Convenience Store Woman is like entry level weird girl book, and then Earthlings is like a step up, which is so good. I read Unmasking Autism by Devon Price. It was really informative, really useful. I think it's useful whether you are someone with autism or whether you're just interested in finding out more about it, like you know someone with autism. Super useful and really intersectional as well, which I think is needed. Next, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. That was awesome. Loved it. Rocky's my favourite. Yeah, incredible. Really good starter sci-fi if you're not into the genre. I think it's written really accessibly. I read Breasts and Eggs by Miko Kawakami. Another 5 stars for me. I think I just really like Japanese authors. They're just really good. The ones that I've read so far, anyway. The women that I've read so far have been amazing. Yeah, it's great. Really interesting, like, feminist discussion. Yeah, loved it. Babel by R.F. Kuang. Yeah, again 5 stars. Was amazing. Everyone should read. Yeah, the Goodreads reviews from white women that don't understand it are hilarious, but also very troubling. But yeah, I loved it. 100%, like a fantastic book. I read The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is one of the Witcher books. It was okay. It's pretty standard, classic kind of fantasy type stuff. I haven't read more of the series yet. I'm not a big fan of short stories, so I might need to read more of the first 2 books are like more short story kind of based. So I might enjoy the other ones more. But if you like short stories and you like fantasy, or if you like the show, it's got a lot of the stories from the show in it. It's good. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. The more I go back to this one, the more I think it is not good. It's beautifully written, but it is just trauma corn. And yeah, it made me really uncomfortable, and I don't think I could recommend it to anybody because of that. But I know a lot of people love it. But yeah, it was just a weird one for me. I read The Marrow Thieves by, I can't read her name, by Sherry Dimeline. That was really cool. It's like post-apocalyptic, well, not post-apocalyptic, it's post-climate change disaster. And yeah, Native Americans are being hunted for their bone marrow because it means that people can, I think basically white people can't dream anymore, and Native American bone marrow injections fix that, so they're being hunted. So it's a really interesting look at climate change and how Native American cultures might adapt to that, and also just like how shitty white people can be, basically. So yeah, that was good too. It's also like YA, so yeah, just so you know. I read The Tea Dragon Society by Kay O'Neill. This is a graphic novel. It was really wholesome and sweet, and yeah, just lovely. Liked it. I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I hated it. Yeah, I just don't like romance. So if you enjoy romance, probably don't listen to me. But yeah, I find it really boring and not very well written. For me, but I know that a lot of people love it. So that's my rapid review of that. I read The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. This was just like a bucket list one that you had to read, but you know, it's like a guy that turns into a cockroach. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was pretty good. It's nice and short, so if you want to just read that, it's like a short story basically. I read Dead Space Martyr by B.K. Evenson. So this is, I think the game came first and then they wrote books afterwards. I can't remember for sure though. I'll try and look that up. Yeah, it was really good. It's like sci-fi horror. Very enjoyable. That's like one of my favorite genres, so I'm easy pleased in that category. I read the first Sandman graphic novel by Neil Gaiman. It was okay. I think it's probably one of these series that you need to read the whole thing before you can make a proper judgment on. And that's all I'll say about that. I read Goethe by Katerina Tukova. I really like the premise of this book, and the beginning was like really cool, but I feel like it just kind of got boring towards the end. Yeah, it was just kind of a slog to get through a bit, which is a shame because it sounded really good based on the plot. I read the first Jujutsu Kaisen manga volume. Yeah, it was decent. I found it really cool. It's a really cool premise. I haven't watched any of the show because I wanted to read the manga first, but I only read 1 volume last year, so maybe I'll just watch it and see how it goes. But I've heard mixed things about it, so maybe I'll look online, see what I can do. I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Oh, this was such a good book. It was 5 stars for me. Just everything I wanted. Like, just an incredible memoir. That's all I need to say. The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. Yeah. Some of it was really beautiful, some of it was a little bit silly for me, particularly the bit where it's narrated by a tree. I got what she was trying to do, but it just felt a little bit too forced for me. But I know some other people really, really loved it and thought it was like amazing. So, yeah, personal opinion was like, eh. I read Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q Sutanto. That was amazing, really, really, really good. Yeah, it's the comedy in it was amazing. And I loved her like cultural observations as well. It was just really funny and wholesome and, you know, really good despite being basically a murder cover-up story. It was really great. I read The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Agni Vo. This was really amazing. This was one that I just picked up randomly, I think from the library. And it was incredible. It's like this really cool, like, sort of epic fantasy vibe based on like I think on like East Asian mythology. And I loved it. I want to read more because it's a series. So yeah, I will be trying to pick up more of that. Water break. Okay. Next I read Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Time travel, like meaning of life story. Like, yeah, please read it. It's so good. I read Trespasses by Louise Kennedy. I thought it was really great. Yeah. Literary fiction, I'm like, sometimes I love it, sometimes I'm like, eh. So I think any litfic people would adore this. Yeah. I read Lord of the Flies by William Golding for the first time. 5 stars. It was amazing. Yeah, I can see why it's a classic. I read The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I really liked this. Yeah. I think it was like 4 stars for me. Some of it was a little too... It was almost too, like, lyrical and fluffy sometimes. But a lot of it was really pretty. So yeah, it was good. I read the entire Mistborn trilogy this year. My first Brandon Sanderson. And I love him. It was like the best trilogy I've read in a long time. And he's now one of my favourite authors. So I'll definitely be reading more of that. I've got the next like era from the same like Mistborn stories on my shelves already to read. So yeah, I'm excited for that. How many more have I got to go? Oh, not too many. Okay. I read They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I'd never read this when it was popular and I loved it. It was incredible. Yeah, just really, really good and really poignant, and I love the sort of future kind of speculative fiction sci-fi elements in it as well. I read Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire. Loved this as well. Yeah, it was just really great. Like, it's such an interesting premise, but I think it's again one of those series where I probably need to read more to give a full review, because they're quite short books and you just get like one person's story at a time out of like many children that all live in the same house. So yeah, would like to read more. I read Salem's Lot by Stephen King. It was rubbish. Yeah, it's one of those where I feel like if I'd read it at the time, when it was released, I would have been like, wow, incredible, like this is so innovative, so new. Oh, what are these scary vampires? But like, because vampires are so popular now, it just felt like really basic, which is a shame, because I think he kind of restarted the vampire stuff other than like Interview with a Vampire. But yeah, didn't read well, and also felt very sexist at Stephen King in general. I just find he is really bad at writing women. So yeah, that's that one. I read What a Shame by Abigail Bergstrom. This was incredible. Like, I hadn't heard of her before. I just picked it up on a whim in Waterstones. And yeah, again, really, really liked it. It's like verging on kind of weird girl fiction. But it's kind of like a sort of finding yourself book as well, which is always nice. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's good. I read Butler to the World by Oliver Billow. This is a really cool non-fiction about how Britain is like basically really good at financial services, and in particular helping people to avoid tax and be corrupt and stuff. And yeah, if you're interested in that, highly recommend. It's written super well. I read Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. 5 stars. Adored it. The characters, the setting, just everything. Like I love every single one of the people that are in that book. Like, they're just the best. Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. It was good. It was long. It was hard to get through. I'm glad I read it, but I won't read it again. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved this. Yeah, 5 stars. It was incredible. Yeah, for like LGBT, like it. Yeah, just great. I don't really like. Has everyone read it now? I don't know if it's a spoiler, but highly recommend if you haven't read it yet. I read The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake. I gave it like 3.5 stars. Some of it was like, some of it was really amazing. But I will read the next one to make a final decision on whether I want to kind of keep going and finish the series. I read Budapest Noir by Vilmos Kondor. This was recommended to me by one of my Hungarian friends. Yeah, I give it 3 stars. It was good, but like not amazing. But again, I'm not super into like crime fiction, so probably would be more enjoyable for people who like that genre more. I read Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. This was a 5 stars for me, like instantly. I can't believe I'd never read it before. Like, I love sci-fi, I love dystopian shit. Like, I was like, why have I not read this already? So yeah, 100% like incredible book. The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Yeah, this was really good. I loved how it was written. I loved how the main character is kind of unreliable. And I think it was just really, really well done. Yeah, Shirley Jackson's great. I'm going to try and read more of her. I read Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I was really disappointed with this one. Yeah, it's a shame. I was hoping it would be really good, and I was really looking forward to like more like Central and South American like mythology type stuff and history. But it just felt like a sort of YA fantasy, like pretty standard. So yeah, I was kind of glad. It was like 3 stars for me. I read The Wall by John Lanchester. This was amazing. I had never heard of this. It's like sort of dystopian fiction where basically it's near future, the world has gone to war and every country, including the UK, has a wall around the coastline, so nobody can get in or out, and everyone has to do like a mandatory period of service guarding the wall. Yeah, it was great. Really, really enjoyed it. Bit of a weird ending. It's kind of ambiguous, but yeah, it was good. I read Witch King by Martha Wells. Never have I ever read a book that has so much information packed into each page. I read this as a buddy read with one of my friends, and I'm so glad we did that, because I don't think I would have understood what was going on unless I'd had someone to discuss it with. So yeah, make sure you take notes or read with someone else if you do read it, but it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. It was decent. I read The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. This was my only 1-star book of the year. Like this, I pushed through because I was like, surely something will make this better. And it never happened. So that's it. Yep. I read The Last Witch of Scotland by Philip Paris. This was great. 5 stars. Incredible. It's based on a true story of the last witch that was executed for witchcraft in Scotland. Although there's like it's patchy records, so they've kind of built around what evidence they have. Yeah, really liked it. It was really cool. I read Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This was like a weird one because I really loved the premise and I liked a lot of the plot, but hated some of the characters and hated the way that it was written, because it's like, I think it's like 80s or 90s sci-fi. So it's just super dated and really uncomfortable at times, like sort of overtly inappropriate stuff like going on, like the beliefs that some of the characters have is clearly the beliefs that the author has, and it's like but I am probably going to read the second one because the plot was super interesting, and I like, basically the first one was like an intro to what actually happens in the second one. So now I feel like I've sunk the time in. I may as well read the second one and see what happens. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing the first on its own. If you're only going to read one, I'd recommend doing both. If you, yeah, think of it as an 1100 page book that you have to read if you really want the full story. Last but not least, I finished the Promised Neverland manga, which was absolutely 5 stars for me. It's exactly the kind of story that I like. It was really, really, really cool. It was amazing. I had watched the first season of the anime and was told that the rest of the manga is just like squished into the second season, and it's really disappointing. So I decided to stop after the first season and read the manga, and I'm so glad I did, because it's such a complex, interesting story, and yeah, if they tried to squish all that into one season of manga, it would have been bad, so I get that. Yeah, if you like sort of dystopian kind of horror type stuff, featuring like children trying to fight back against like corrupt weird stuff, yeah, you'll probably really like it. So that is me. That is the 56 books that I read in 2023. I'm hoping to read the same amount or more next year. This year. Oh god, it's 2024 already. Yeah, so hopefully you will see more videos from me this year, cause I won't be as busy, so fingers crossed. But yeah, I'll see you next time.